Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. Welcome back to Bitesize. It's great to be back for the new year. This morning, we've got a great session led by Errol Seaman. He's going to lead you through a few short activities that you can do with your learners that I think are really great to sort of engage them, maybe at the beginning of a lesson, maybe when they're having a lull after a break or something, or after lunch. So I'm not going to talk any further. I'm just going to pass you over to Errol. Here we go.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, all. Hope everyone is doing fine on this lovely Wednesday morning. Welcome to TLA Bite Size, first one of the new year. This one is labeled Observation exercises to help facilitate improved focus within the classroom. As always with BDC Bite Size, we aim to be timely with our delivery, and we always aim to provide value, something that you can always take away and utilize straight away. And this is no different. There's some things that you can utilize directly into your practice. Just as an aside, very quickly, you guys are aware that there will be no essentials and BDC tracks for this particular month. The communique went out. We'll be back in full effect the following month in February. So please continue to work on your tracks and keep up to date with that. Work on what you're doing. We'll be back next month. Okay. So as I said, aims of today's session are to share a selection of observation exercises which can be utilized as a starter, as an energizer within the classroom to help facilitate improved focus with your students. And we'll, as always, link it to the TLA framework, which I'm about to do right now. So this kind of sits in the learning activities section. So most definitely these can assist on the core practice side in terms of guiding learners through stages of practice, and obviously in combination with other activities that you may utilize, we can also stretch it to enhanced also. So as I said, these are observation exercises, and the idea of these exercises are being able to utilize these, for example, at the beginning of a class as an energizer, as a starter. And the idea of being able to get your students to tune in to a particular thing, whatever that particular observation is, and being able to use that as a way to engage them, and then obviously use that as a platform to continue the rest of your class. So I've got three that I'm going to demonstrate, so I'm going to take you through them, and these are three that we'll just put together, but obviously these are hopefully will stimulate other ideas that you can utilize within your practice. So the first one is an activity called I Spy. So it's a very, very simple activity, and it's based upon a crime scene. And the idea is that the students are going to see an example of a crime scene, and then they're going to see a contrasting image of the same crime scene, and certain things would have changed. And their job in this particular activity is to note the things that have changed from the initial crime scene. So this is how we would do it. So I would show them the crime scene. At this particular point, I will give them maybe about 30 seconds. I would give them obviously the prescription prior, and then ask them to observe everything that they see within the crime scene. So the best way to do this is just to play the game. So hopefully you're watching this now. So observe the crime scene. What things can you see? Take note of small tiny details all around the crime scene. And I wouldn't be prescriptive. I wouldn't give the students any sort of notification, no nudges to say, look at this, look at that. Just allow them to observe as a group. I've done this before where I've asked them to shout out certain things that they can see, just to get the buy-in and generate more energy. And about a 30-second windows works really well. One of the things you could use some audio with this if you wanted to, just to enhance the energy of the activity and the immersion. So little things like the Jeopardy theme tune, or Mission Impossible theme tune, little things like that. But some sort of music in the background can help, but it's not necessary as well. So after you give them that 30 seconds, then you flip to this particular image, and I usually just engage them, and I just say, has anyone got a pet dog? Anyone got a puppy? And you always have 100% of all the times I've done this, you always get hands going up. Oh, I've got a pet dog. I say, anyone got a cat? And I engage them, and some of them figure it out, and they say, sir, you're just trying to distract us. And I said, yep, that's correct. We don't want to make it too easy. Yeah? So just a little bit of fun as a diversion. And then what you're going to do next is that I always say to the students, please put your hands up, don't shout out, and I will select you, because obviously they'll see certain things. And you show them the next image here, and I'll start to ask them what differences, and the hands will go up, and they will start to identify the different changes that have been made within the images. So some of you, if you're playing a game at home, or in the classroom, I should say, you should be able to start noticing certain things that have changed. Hopefully you're having a bit of fun with it at the moment. And then once the students have obviously exhausted all of the changes, you can show the final slide, which demonstrates the various different changes that have occurred. Yeah, so just a very, very simple activity, and you can see how you potentially could make your own ones. You could do it within your own area. You could take pictures of the workshop, of the classroom, specialist classrooms I mean, and you could, literally put items of equipment out and make changes, and with a corresponding or a contrasting picture. The idea for these activities actually came to me from one of Sarah Pagram's students, Paul Bendon, who was a driving instructor, and he was doing a really excellent micro teach that I had the privilege of observing, and the next one came directly from his micro teach. Called it How Many Spoons? And this particular observation activity was to observe the image that I'm about to show you, and again, note as many details as possible. But with this one, we're going to do it slightly differently, where we're going to show them the image, we're going to ask them certain questions, but then we're going to return to the image at the end of the class and ask them some different questions. So here's the image that they will see, and I want them to observe as much as they can. So with this one, you might give them a little bit of a longer period of time, maybe a minute, that you could ask them to observe. They could open discussion, they could have discussions. What things can you see? And they're observing. And at this particular point, you go away from the image after the minute. Again, as I said, to enhance the immersion, utilize some type of audio, music in the background always helps to enhance a bit of fun type of melodies in the background. And here's some questions that now we're going to pose, and obviously you would have the answers yourselves. So the first question: how many spoons? That's the name of the activity, and that's a simple thing that you would hope that would prompt them to focus on. But it's also a way to get them to focus on things and potentially maybe miss out on other things as well. What was the color of the tablecloth? Did either of you guys get that? Were there any napkins? Yes or no question. What color were the napkins? Was there cereal? And it's quite interesting because there was cereal in two different locations, one in a bowl, and there were boxes of cereal also. Then you can start to engage with the question, well, what brands of cereal were there? Was there tea or coffee on the table? Was there toast? What else can you recall on the table? Yeah, so these simple questions, simple fun activity, as I said, just to get them engaged and get them tuned in with the focus. And as I said, you can return now to the image. You can, obviously qualify the answers that are correct or incorrect with this particular image here. Then, as I said, you can leave it do this at the beginning of the class, then return to it right at the end of the session before they leave, almost like as an exit ticket. You could utilize this. And now what we've got, several different questions. How many knives are there? What popular game was in the newspaper? How many croissants? What was laying on the newspaper? Was there apple juice? How many tea, coffee cups on the table? What color was the teapot? What else can you recall on the table? So you can see where you can use this type of idea of this activity. As I said, this is just an example, and you can make things more relevant to your subject area where there's a lot of information within the image, and you can utilize that to return to utilize one set of questions, then return to it at the end of the class. This last one, how many animals? Again, similar observation activity. With this one's there's more information that we're going to pose to the students, and we could utilize this as a peer activity, with the caveat that they're not allowed to write anything down. It's purely discussion. And with this one, it's just this image of this scene of a zoo, and there's multiple animals all over, a lot of information. Some people may get some sensory overload, but what they're attempting to do is just to recollect in their mind how many of each animal there are. Again, maybe about a minute, 40 seconds to a minute, I'd give them that time. Obviously, you don't want to give them too much time. You don't want to give them too short a time. And with this one, the way it is here, now we can start to pose. Sorry, I've done this in the correct way, so I'm going to just fast forward here. We can see all the images. But what you do is jump straight to this particular, or you could have this written down, well, how many giraffes were there? And so on and so forth. So you're going through all of the different questions. How many zebra? How many deer? How many children? And it's quite interesting because I've posed it how many animals, and by focusing on animals, you may get a lot of them who actually don't focus on how many children, because I've not actually included that into the question. Yeah, so after you've posed the question, then you can return back to the image, and then you can have the reveal one at a time, where you ask, all right, how many giraffes were there? How many did you say? Now you can ask the different peers within the classroom, how many zebras were there, and you can see systematically how you can do the reveal as we move along. Yeah, so again, very simple, very fun, but hopefully you can see how one, you can utilize this in the way I've said, but how you can really make it very specific and relevant to your particular subject area. So very excellent. I think these sort of things can work really well as an online starter energizer. I think one of the things that those of us who are teaching during COVID experience when we're teaching online, the ability to utilize relevant online energizers and starters to get the students engaged. So these are certain things that you could utilize. If any of you who are out there listening in, who are teaching online, these things that you can utilize. As I said, use your own relevant images within your subject area. As I said, consider relevant tools, equipment. If you've got the room, we've got, various specialist rooms within the college that you can utilize. And it's just a little bit of effort to put together the different images. Something you could do is maybe post an image on Google Classroom in your last class and say, we're going to start next week with this particular image, and I want you to observe it when we come in the classroom. So it could be something that they could tune them in order to begin the class, but they've had a bit of prep time. And again, competition elements, putting students into teams, into peers, even individually, with more complex images, and having them to potentially not write down what they see, but when you pose the answers, then they can write down their answers, and you can make that into a little competition. So just to finalize, a lovely quote for the day: an observant child should be put in the way of things worth observing. Love it. Very poetic. And the last quote for the day: everything in life can teach you a lesson. You just have to be willing to observe and learn. So I'd just like to leave you with that. Just as always, guys, thank you. Have a great day. Please get in contact with anyone from the TLA team. Our emails are right below, except for Sylvia's because I've written it incorrectly. Please engage with us, anything that we can do to help in the short term. Other than that, thank you and have a wonderful day.
Brilliant. Thank you, Errol. Some really fantastic activities here. I like those. And thank you for the shout out to one of our level 3 trainees. And that's amazing that his work was included there. But that kind of leads me to kind of say to you guys that are watching, and I know that you are, please share your ideas with us for Bitesize. You can either come and deliver alongside us, but I appreciate that can be quite scary, and it is quite scary. So you can just come and have a chat with us or arrange a meeting with us and share your ideas, and we will present it and work with you to develop it, and we will share your idea for you. So yes, we really need your help. So yeah, that would be great. So don't be shy. You know where we are. That'd be fantastic. Well done, Errol. A couple of comments this morning. So Sylvia mentioned, she said, love the activities. They could be used with ESOL students to facilitate discussions, reinforce grammar structures, or recap vocabulary. Brilliant. And I think we can all agree that they could be used throughout all of our lessons. Oh, we've got another little post here just before we go. Camilla, thanks. Super useful, particularly as we are discussing food items this week. Oh, there we go. You can just cut and paste that into your lesson. Fantastic. So that's it. Anything you'd like to add, Errol?
No, as I said, just a reminder. Let's new year 2026. And you know, as the seasons change, you know, it's dark in the mornings, it's dark when we leave, but let's endeavour to do the best that we can do in the situations we're in, and let's do the best for our students on the campus, and let's have a great half term. We've got the skills show coming up February the 11th, so let's get ready for that as the weeks come in. I just put a little request out for our competition briefs to be submitted, just so we can peruse them and get well skills to give us some feedback. So if you're involved in that, can you please endeavour to get that? I gave a 2-week window for that. Other than that, guys, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you around campus.
Take care, everyone. See you later. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.